Okay, let's get started. I will talk first a little bit about myself again. I feel a little bit embarrassed, but this seems to be like a thing that you fall into as a lecturer. You repeat a lot who you are in the first week. My name is Robert Möller. You can call me Rob or Robert or different versions of it. I had as well Robbie. That was not so cool, but I still respond to it. Yeah, so don't worry about it. We have just moved. Well, we are now in a department. Before we were just the project management group. We are now part of the information science team. Yeah. So hence we are in the Department of Mathematics and Information Sciences. Yeah? This is our new home, if you want, under the faculty umbrella. I've given you as well my phone number and email, of course, for responding to me, and the room number. Yeah? So if you have anything that you want to talk with me about it personally, just pop around to my office. Normally either me or Alex are in the office, so it's always there for you if you want. Huh? Any questions at that point? Okay, simple rule. I want to try something because I've experienced something in France that was a lot of fun, and it enabled actually questions all the time. So I attended a guest lecture from a colleague of mine in France, and he had the game. If you have a question, just raise your arm. If you don't feel that you want to ask the question, write it on a paper scribble and hand it through to the front. At the end, I will read all the questions out. I will take the joke away. I got this actually when I was in France, in Paris. Yeah? One wrote, "When did your hairdresser die?" I wasn't very sharp at the time, so I read it out and I said, like, well, when I started this job, but I should have really given another answer. But okay, I will answer them. Yeah, but please don't try to keep it a little bit within the realm. I will do another thing. I will basically post the question under the recording. Yeah, so I record every lecture that you can go through it again with the PowerPoint attached. And you can watch it, and you will see there are distance learners that will post as well questions and answers. Yeah, so this is a new way of discussing because our resources that we have were slightly limiting. So I tried this this way. If you don't like it, let me know. Yeah, because I'm adapting that basically for you. So I hope it's a lot more functional. Okay, today is the first lecture. It's really thought to be an overview of where we are now with project management. Yeah, so I will start off by setting a little bit the idea of what we are going through here in this semester. And then as a second part, I will show you the history, where these magic books of knowledge come from, and a little bit how our, well, this is actually a debate to be had in 6 weeks. Is project management actually a discipline or a subgroup, maybe even like something else? Yeah, so that is to discover. But literally, I will do a summary of this lecture. Okay, and just make sure, are you in the right module? BE1170, Project Program and Portfolio Management. If it's not, just you can leave any second without warning. Yeah, so it's okay. Okay, let's get started. I have always something, this is normally in the lectures for the next lecture. I've missed that this week. So if you want to like get into literature and you prefer to read and reflect on it, then I have 2 suggestions basically available. One being a paper, well, one being the journal paper option, and the other one is actually the book selection. There is a parallel book chapter literally to the titles in another book, yeah, that I've recommended as well. So this is for this. At the end you will see the reading suggestions for next week. It does help to read up because I use a lot of terminology that maybe needs sinking in. Yeah, we go through it, of course, in the lecture, but it's normally quite quick. Yeah. Okay, let's get started then. What are we covering today? Well, it's really educating the project manager, namely you, or maybe project management not as like what you're doing, but part of your practice, yeah, for the 21st century. And I want to cover a little bit project management bodies of knowledge. Why do we have them in the first place? What are they about? And does it really matter to us as a practitioner? Should we even pay attention to this? And last but not least, is it fit for purpose? So I will try to shed some light on it. I don't really answer those questions. I just give you a duality. I give you answers to both sides. Yeah? And then, of course, a brief history of management. I've included different perspectives on that, and that is where we leave it this session. Hidden in that is as well literally our syllabus that we are going through. Yeah? It's not so like good hidden. It's kind of obvious. You will see it as long as we go through it. Okay. Educating the project managers for the 21st century. That is you. Yeah, I hope you take that challenge on you. So there is a whole notion really from project management, largely coming from stochastic experience-based sources. This is a term for describing we do a lot experience-based. Yeah? We follow the routes how people have managed projects before. This is not always the best way, yeah? And here in particular we see an enormous diversion of different types of programs. Then nowadays we have actually something, this is quite current, major projects. They emerged earlier, but they have been rediscovered. And we have recognized something with it, the complexity and interconnection of our projects with the outside world and implications afterwards, which is quite interesting. And then, of course, the notion of project management has unfolded into something called a program. Yeah? Project could be romantically being summarized as a projectile. Yeah? You loosen your activity or your organization from the rest of society and get on with it. You don't necessarily focus too much on tradition or incremental change. You make it functional. Yeah? This is a notion that will come out as well in the historical analysis. And more recently, we had, of course, the portfolio management approach, coming really from the finance industry initially, but then has varied applications as well, actually in personal marketing, yeah? Your own portfolio maybe. So we have a look into that too. With this came, of course, post-requirements definitions. So project management was actually kind of invented with looking back at what we had done before. And they tried to optimize this. Yeah? So we come to that as well and talk about the shift there. And here is another issue with the definition. We have actually switched from project management to the management of projects, to recognizing that there is a, well, we call it pluralism, but in reality it just means there are many different ways of doing the same thing. Yeah? And being aware of that, then you can basically construct something that is meaningful for you. So this is a very standard version of project management. Yeah? The old notion of the iron triangle is kind of hidden in time, budget, and scope. Yeah? We come to the historical emergence of this, of course, as well. So you have basically the situation of being dropped into a project that you have to do. Yeah? You have a context given. Yeah? This is what I have at the beginning of the arrow. You have to deliver this now. There are expectations around it. You have clear definitions, hopefully good goals, and you deliver it. Yeah? So this is the idea. You do it, of course, on time, in budget, to scope, yeah? And execution and delivery is kind of the part here. Underlining this, we already recognized that earlier to a degree, is integration of time, cost, scope, risk, and of course in a hidden dimension which often is underrated. Yeah? So if you speak to practitioners, there is not a lot of very good practice out there. Yeah? There's practice out there, but it's often overly functional. It doesn't really address the stakeholder needs. It's human resource management, communications, and of course then quality implications, which often go back to the scope and how you actually procure it. What is your relationship to the other people? Yeah? This diagram was really taken from Morris and Pinder and Sunderland, but they, I think, had taken it from the PMI book of 2004, if I'm not mistaken. I recognize that quite well. Yeah? So this was really a starting point of where the definition of project management came from, but as I pointed out, we have already advanced. Nowadays, we have realized that it's actually very important to look at the surrounding context and environment. Yeah, and with this, we have kind of started looking, how do you actually define the project management in the first place? Yeah, this is something that we will spend the next 3 weeks in quite some detail on. So literally project definition, how do you want to actually use this project vehicle to implement strategy benefits? Yeah? So hence we have to think about strategy and finance. Yeah, are you driven by a certain profit margin, or is this a project to actually have a greater good to your organization? Yeah, so there are different implications. Technology driven, yeah, requirements versus design. Make a test. Do you have actually time to prototype it? Yeah, and then of course commercial implication. Is this a project where you just deliver a product and then you walk away? Or is it from birth to cradle? Yeah, you come up with something and you even think about how you are reusing the parts from it maybe for future applications. Yeah, this is then a very different game again. Here we have to look, of course, at supply chain, procurement methods, etc. Yeah, we cover that in quite some detail because this is a very hot topic at the moment. Yeah. Actually, pretty cool case study is in the Chalmers here. They probably know this already. Volvo has opened a new center in Gothenburg at Chalmers University, and they are thinking for Volvo with a Chinese mother company now about a new chassis that includes it all. Yeah? Basically, following a complete shift in their design. Yeah? And those projects, they have an organizational orientation. This will be very expensive, yeah? So it will ignore a lot of that. And they are not the only company. We have that as well: marketing, politics, and so forth. Yeah. Then, of course, very important. This is as well my research area: organizational and structural. Wait a minute.
Robert, is the microphone on?
Yeah.
Is the microphone on?
Shall I put it on? Am I not talking out enough? Okay, okay. This will interfere with the camera. This is always a little bit the dilemma, but it's quite all right, I think. Yeah. So then we have the organizational notion. Is it better? Yeah?
That's better now, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Then we have as well the organizational notion, of course, which is made up of how we structure our organization. Yeah, something socially constructed, sometimes physically, yeah, by being in different rooms or in the same building. And of course the people involved with it. Yeah, and underlining again, we have the conceptual phase, feasibility, definition, execution, and closeout and operations. And this is kind of the process notion that we will orient our study on. Yeah. Well, quite all right. Please join us. Oh, yeah, try to squeeze yourself in wherever you can find a seat. So, yeah, with this framework, we have a good reference point. There are many alternatives, yeah? So definitions, well, not so much the definitions, but the semantic does change, yeah? We will have different cycles. We will have a good look at different models and project methodologies, as I have called it, yeah? It's really project management approaches, I think, more than actual methodologies. But we will have a close look at this. Yeah. So now we have to go, of course, a step further. A little bit German in between. Does it matter what we don't agree what it is and what we are talking about? Yeah? So there is a problem with, depending on where you went to university potentially or what company you're working in, there are preferred concepts and constructs that we are using. Yeah? But is it a real problem? Well, quite frankly, the terminology is actually something that is international. And this is pretty powerful. Yeah, I think I mentioned this before, and I will repeat it a lot more. For communication, project management is actually pretty astonishing because it bridges local description words that are grown basically with the industry and allows communication across localities and across time spans. Yeah? So generations have, of course, as well their own vocabulary. But here we stick actually with a terminus that has grown, or language, words, definitions that has grown over time. They shift, but we understand it, and this is important. And is the domain or discipline fit for purpose? It depends, of course, how you apply it. If you apply it well, then it's very much fit for purpose, but you need to think. You need to apply the right tools and techniques, of course. Otherwise, it's a dangerous thing. And I will talk about it a little bit later when we come to the standardization. Unfortunately, I was involved. So if it doesn't work in 5 years, you know that I'm one of them that you can blame. Yeah. So this is a good thing to know who's responsible for it. Yeah. Okay. So how can we educate this? It's an education. This is important to recognize. Yeah. It's not a training or anything. So thinking from first principles, this is very important. Sometimes looking at it in a very simple manner can give very deep lessons, and then refining. Yeah, so what will you know afterwards? Will you know everything? No, you won't. But you will know how to ask very precise questions, and by answering those, you will be on a very good route. Yeah? Many people don't arrive at these refined questions. They ask very basic questions, and then it's very difficult to manage. Yeah? I hope that will make sense later, yeah, when we start actually looking at different issues and different case study scenarios, or when it comes to building our own concept for a particular project. What works actually? How can we refine it and come to a better managerial approach? Yeah? So again, coming back, it's an education. It's not attempted to be a training. Yeah? So Prince 2, it's actually in one of my books that I'm suggesting, in the Engineering Project Management, chapter 17, yeah, summarized, if you want to understand what it is. It's an applied concept. It's a so-called, again, project methodology. It's basically tailored formally from the OCG, I'll come to that later, to IT projects, and they have adapted it to other projects too. Yeah, so it's a prescribed form of how you should conduct your project. Yeah. Further, we try to really identify knowledge. Yeah? Knowledge what worked and what doesn't work, or what didn't work. Yeah? And it's not just information that we have here. We use a lot of other sources like wisdom, which becomes quite tricky. Yeah? This is not something that I would want to bear empiri on, but experience from practitioners is insightful. Yeah? They can tell you how they basically cope with the situation. There's a heavy practical notion, of course, to it. Yeah, as I described earlier, we will have a lot of case studies to look at, because otherwise it's too actually, this talk is quite conceptual. This will be the most conceptual it will be this semester. Yeah. Then normative flavor. This means we look at what people have done, yeah, but we will be sensitive to context and social technical challenges. This is really what I hope to bring out here. I have been criticized actually in last year's feedback for not describing enough the politics, especially when you go into a new company, and the inner plea of this whole sentence that I got written there was not just political. They wanted really psychopolitical application. You as a young project manager in a new project team, how does it actually feel? And quite frankly, we cover that next semester. Some of you may have already had that in other modules. Yeah, so this is not what I'm aiming to address here. Okay. Are there best practices? This is always a question. Yeah? I will give you a few that have been in literature identified as such, and I hope you will see them with a certain criticism or awareness that there will be more. So aligning the project strategy with the sponsors, including periodic reviews. Yeah? So this is really your projects are fitting in the greater organizational scheme. Yeah? Defining requirements in a testable manner. So we are trying to quantify here or qualify and test it afterwards, so that specifications and solution can be verified against them. We will do that again, yeah. So as well, interesting point. So it's really the tools and techniques that allow us to show our colleagues what we are doing in project management. Yeah, managing design and technology so that innovation are thoroughly examined before proceeding to full project commitment. Yeah, this means don't take crazy projects. Yeah, quite frankly. If you don't have the resources, this is a bad start. Yeah, then you need more time. It works as well without time. Work together with universities. You know, we like that stuff. Obviously, we don't charge that much. Yeah, and there are some ways around, but you need time for this. Yeah. Second, on the control notion, this is in particular coming from Yeah, I realized I wasn't really aware, I think 5 years ago, what German project management is like, but we do like to steer and control. This is a big lesson that I learned. Defining and managing the project scope, schedule, resource, and budget, ensuring optimal financing, and as well that you have the finance at the right time. This is often, I've seen many projects failing just on their premises, or basically running over cost or having other issues with it. Including limiting changes once a design has been agreed. Design freeze, we will talk about that quite a bit. The worst scenario for design freeze is scope creep. This is another thing that we will put in relation, means that changes are coming in later and the scope is actually shifting. Then integrating cost, schedule, scope measurement, and conducting, of course, trend analysis on anticipated outturn cost. So again, it's quite quantified. And this looks very good in the meeting. You can make big charts, and it's certainly an illustration. But it's again the hard stuff. You see the trend here already. So then resourcing, it's procuring, inducting resources into project in as positive and cost-effective, value-enhancing manner as possible. And then building effective project teams. I was actually impressed with this notion. This is kind of soft and flowery, but actually they even have a scorecard for that. And then exercising leadership. This was as well quite hard actually, because you were supposed to see actually the achieved goals on a regular basis. So it's as well a review process. Then the performing came actually just to decision-making tools, quite frankly, and communication logs. But again, this was postulated as best practice. And then this was actually astonishing, because this is something that should be probably a little bit harder, or certainly be more captured. Reviewing lessons learned after and during the project and feeding other knowledge into projects through formal peer review sessions or mentoring schemes or something like that. Can I just ask, quick question, has anybody come across the last one in their project? Do you do peer reviews? Okay, this is good. A few hands. This is not very common. This is like something that some companies have done because they were not so project-driven. This is good practice. There's still a long way to come. Some knowledge-based industries have adopted that already heavily, and it's something that we will have a long look at, because it's something that we need to get right. At the moment, a lot of things go wrong due to that reason. Well, what does that mean? If we don't do this, empiry for me is very simple, because you repeat the mistakes of the former generation. So this is very bad. There's a setting implicit that it's likely to make mistakes if we don't know what we are running into. So this is a big thing. Okay, enough with the dry concepts. Let's get a little bit into the history behind it. Oh, sorry, I have one more. There are problems with it, of course. The problem is, at what point do rules become so generalized as to be of limited value, or so specific that they are not generalizable anymore? Some really good projects are actually very specific. In the references next week, we are looking actually at the CERN, at the Hadrian Collider. This was a brilliant project, but it's very applied. They started somewhere off with Prince2 and then abandoned that very quickly and came up with pretty good tools. And it was tailored to their needs. This is where we want to arrive, that we can do things like that. Then two problems here, of course. Our knowledge of reality is incomplete. By definition, we shape it as we go along. The nature of our knowledge in different areas of project management varies greatly, but this is as well the interesting stuff. So comparing, so for example, if we look at procurement and construction, it's very different to automotive. But this is a good comparison because they're sitting on the edge, on either side. And then very hard to have predictive, substantive rules, easier to reprocess. So here we look as well at the limitations of our tools and techniques. This is very important. And last but not least, we recognize the need to tailor it basically to the industry sector, to the company, business unit, and your project, of course. Sometimes even to the team, that it's workable for you. So how can we link that actually in? The practical notion? Well, we can actually bridge this by scholarly activity. This is you, and this is me, and this is all the people that have actually entered into this long dialogue. It's written, yeah? There's a long dialogue over this, and I will highlight a few in a second in my histogram that I show you. So know the literature, clearly articulate as well what you want from it. Yeah, if you can do that, then you're already half there. And then, of course, methodologically, sound theoretically grounded. We borrow here from a lot of different disciplines. We go in the whole spectrum what university has to offer. And, of course, respect for the data. Yeah? So, and scrupulous application and testing. Yeah? So don't be shy. It's supposed to fail. So try the theories till you can refine them. Yeah, this is the idea. And rigorous research, be honest about your data. Don't lie there. This is very bad. Yeah, and most important, I hope it will be relevant to you too. This is a very important thing to me personally. Okay, what is the underlying method of this? Well, it's teaching, multidisciplinary, as I mentioned, multi-sector, practical, but theoretical, research, relevance, value, very important, valuable to you, and hopefully an impact on you, that you stay engaged basically. And I hope as well that we will have a knowledge transfer, yeah, that I learned from you, what you're actually doing, and vice versa, yeah. And of course, we have there as well a slight device, but we are getting there, I think. It's a role of professions versus higher education institutions. We have a parallel world. I will highlight that in a second. There with the professional bodies, they think they have the right way. In our current new body of knowledge from APM, I will say a few words to that. Alex was heartbroken, my stuff got in, yeah? So his stuff didn't get in. So there are certain implications with this as well. Okay, here's the underlining methodology to it. This is quite technical. Yeah? Ontology is what we are doing. Yeah? It's in a way scope from project management to 3 PM. Yeah, I will just go through it basically. This is the underlining methodology. Yeah? So ontology, what we are doing, we are managing processes, technology, commercial, strategy, and the people, of course. Yeah? And theoretically, we are aware, so this is the knowledge that we take away, normative tendencies. Yeah? Actually, in project management, we can quite well predict, actually, with this quite sadly. Yeah? Norms are not... Yeah? It's too loud. Cold. Okay. Okay, I make it 23 degrees, right? This sounds good. I hope this works.
It's gonna get too warm. It's 23. It was 23 earlier. I reduced it.
She put 20.
Yeah, this was 20.
Yeah.
So this was freezing for the back.
I think it's more the airflow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so arm move. No, I won't make any gestures. Okay, if it gets too warm, let me know. We put it down again and test how quick the system responds. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, my apologies. Is it getting better? Is there a change yet? Okay. Okay, so basically theoretically aware and then properly researched. This is something that we will look at. There are a few studies that read a little bit more like opinion rather than soundly researched. And then last but not least, methodology is really like focusing on the 21st century's needs. Yeah, so we rehearse a lot of the principles that are underlining, but we don't actually necessarily go back to it. Yeah. Okay, 21st century. What do I mean by this? Well, I've lined a few areas out and where they're coming from. I've broken this actually down into a little bit more entertaining way. So this comes from Morrison's, and Peter Morris, and I've enlarged it a little bit. I will explain it in a second. This is it. Yeah, so this is my typogram. Don't worry, it's not as bad as it looks. Well, it is, but so on the left side you have the keywords and the methods and tools that have been developed along. After those lectures, those will all have a deep meaning for you. You will be able to select what it is. This is good, isn't it? A PowerPoint slide kind of showing what we will understand. Yeah, you probably already recognize a few of it. Yeah, let's try one. What does Apollo mean? What is it? Yeah, Apollo? Yeah, I take guesses. Yeah, spaceship. Yeah, it's kind of right. Space was the notion, yeah, and we built ships for it. Yeah, actually we built the rocket. This was brilliant. Whoever came up with that, I would want to shake his hand personally. Yeah, so you put the explosive into a shell and set somebody on top. This was a good idea. Yeah, but literally the red dots are case studies, yeah, and associated projects, and the blue dots are literally tools or applications that we have drawn, yeah. So this is the idea, you can study it in your own time. I have actually a little story to it now. Yeah, so you see, I have actually ignored kind of everything before the 50s. There was a lot of other stuff. I've included this now in this so that we don't lose much.
When you say study this in your own time, where you start at the top?
You don't have to study that in your own time. You will just, it will come to you during the lectures. This is like the overview of what we are going through. Yeah, you can be a little bit more passionate and just study it alphabetically, yeah, or chronological, but I didn't want to do this really to you. Okay, a little bit the narrative to maybe ground elements of it, yeah, because this is a lot, and I have strategically placed it that way to make actually sense of it. So you can see there underlining themes, and I have even highlighted a few new ones that are actually coming in as our topics because they're kind of hot topics, and yeah, basically will have an extra emphasis. So I've as well kind of in the lectures postulated what the current questions are, yeah, the refined questions that need further research. Okay, let's start off. The ones that are not on the timeline is literally, yeah, I've written where it is. It's a bridge at Perth over the Tay. Where is this? Perth? Oh, this was a bad question. Sorry. Perth over the Tay. Where is that?
In Australia.
Yeah, we had the right answer already here. So Australia is, of course, what you could say by accident, but it's in Scotland. Yeah, and this was, as a matter of fact, the first recognition of something called project management. There were three fellows, Brindley. I have to read it really that I don't get the names wrong. Smeaton and Rennie. And they were really concentrating of coming up with principles of getting large infrastructure projects that they were doing often for local, yeah, how would I describe this now quickly? So you had like local governors and they were basically building projects for them, and they were quite temperamentous. So they were thinking about how they could actually organize the bridge building more securely to actually arrive at something that is repeatable without having loads of people die and the bridge falling together. Yeah, so this was really the foundation, and they had like principles of how to build and do civil engineering of bridges and infrastructure. So quite interesting chaps, and they really started actually chronologically writing down what they were doing and what worked, what didn't work. So there was the first step really of what we recognize as project management. By the way, if you go in history books, every book has kind of their own history. Normally they start off with pyramids or some ancient buildings in Pompeii or something like that. Yeah, but there are no principles that were recorded. Yeah, so it's pretty bad for us as scholars, you know, to basically not have access to the writings and readings how they did it. Yeah, so this is what we are after. So after that, I jumped quite a bit. Yeah, this was kind of around 17, end of 18th century. Yeah, the bridges. We really had that, the Gantt chart, and it was the idea that you can break a big work package down into smaller work packages. This is a work breakdown structure on the left side, where you basically divide the little packages, and you do something where you can actually see where you are with estimated time against it. Yeah, so the Gantt chart. And this came, of course, by Harry Gantt. And in reality, there's a hidden story to this. This is very good for our English literature, but in the Polish literature, there was a young man, Admix, who already came up with this, and he published this in 1896, but it's kind of hidden in our literature, but it was very well done too, and he had even a polygon to a functional analysis, yeah? So this was quite cool actually. Yeah, and he came as well up with a harmonigraph, yeah, so that you could move actually the activities according to what I've indicated here, start-to-start activity, where dependents lie. So this was pretty cool. Yeah? That was really what we are potentially still using. Yeah, but it comes from 1912. Yeah? So you know, this is even before my graph starts. Yeah, then we had this. What is this? Does anybody know? Never before such white washes with so much color safety. I take guesses. Who did this?
German version of gas.
Yeah, okay, yeah, but it was really Procter & Gamble, 1920s, yeah, and they started with brand management. Yeah, they came up with projects that were branded, and they were like basically spinning it off as a product. That was pretty cool, yeah. Arguably, they brought the brand management, and this meant as well that they had a single manager for product development. This was as well interesting development. We have this now. Yeah? As a project manager, you are responsible potentially. Yeah? Then, yeah, we have some others in between. I actually left them away. The US Air Corps in the 30s came really up with the idea of a project management office. They kind of had like temporary plant wherever they went, so they had a base. This was not very new, but it was new that they actually did the coordination from there too. So planners went actually there, and that was normally people that would stay at home because they were not necessarily part of it. Strategists would move in, or generals, but normally still with some distance, and that actually central base was new. That was US Air Corps, 1930s. Then we have Exxon, that was this build. Picture. What is Exxon? What do they do?
It's an oil company.
Oil company, yeah. They came basically up with the notion of a project engineer. Yeah, so when they expanded, they had actually a remit of managerial duties combined with engineering. They realized that this engineering inside is very valuable. So very, very technical function. Then the next one that I have here is Gulick really proposed a major coordinator of projects that looks at the administration. This is the 1940s. So we started to build actually more paper trails, and as well the updating of the Gantt charts, of course, required time. And then we had by 1940s really an embryonic subdiscipline. You can actually find literature in managing organizations, temporary notions. So there's already a little bit literature that you can dug into. Yeah? Then I jump here quite a bit. This is actually after the Second World War. In the Second World War, there was a lot of focus in operational research, techniques for collecting and analyzing data, for obvious reasons. Then we had as well the Manhattan Project, of course. I haven't really stripped that down too much here. But the Manhattan Project was the first one that really had a proper project management toolkit. That was pretty unique, and it was a science project at the same time. So you could see science coming together with structured outputs in a time frame. So this was unique. In the 50s then we had procurement pressures. That was largely the US made a lot of progress with that. Again, it was the US forces actually that came up with new procurement methods and modern systems and project terminology that really became like a dominant thing for them. And this is actually the Polar Missile program, and this was actually the first time that they thought about that the rockets are so dangerous that they have to do a PERT analysis. Does anybody know what that is? What is a PERT analysis? Some people not. What does P stand for? This was not correct. There was not yet a correct answer. Yeah. An E? Okay. We come to the next session. Yeah, but okay. They actually developed the PERT, and the idea was that nuclear missiles would not be actually where people would live. They were in the ocean. And again, we have a lot of technologies from this project actually. So first of all, we started actually to programmify. There were many different small projects that were running under a same resource scheme, and that is actually when system management, so the logical alignment of resources to needs of running them actually emerged as well. Then we had DuPont really developed the arrow diagram. This is a logical path for figuring out how to go best forward, where you get stuck, and then potentially, depending on what approach you're using, allocating resources accordingly. And literally after that came our hinted Apollo program. Yeah? And I have, of course, a picture from it. And this is a spectacular one. Yeah? This is actually Apollo mission 11. And this was actually when they landed on the moon. Yeah? And Apollo was really this, if you want, space race that the Americans used as a political, it's a whole raft of projects actually in this Apollo program. Because there were lobbying projects, so they advertised it, there was mediation, there was public buy-in, and there was a whole notion as well of technology projects, and of course rocket design and actually space ship design, as we had, and there was a lot of failure. So by Apollo 11 you can already implicitly take it that there were 10 before it. Yeah, and it was a space race with the Soviet Union, and there were a lot of concepts from project management that kind of came out of that. Yeah, so this is actually pretty cool. I've listed it in my notes. There's a paper on this. Yeah, if you want to read up on this, because we have adapted a lot from it. Yeah. Then after this. I jumped quite a bit. We have then actually as well PMI being formed. Yeah, this is a Project Management Institute in America. It's a professional body. Yeah, so they sell that training. So you have to be careful. I should maybe not. There's a paper about consultants. Yeah, so they have good ways of doing it. But it's a commercial institute, yeah? So there's an implication with this. Then we had the oil crisis in the 70s. That meant that we had actually larger projects actually starting. So we're talking now as well about larger projects. Maybe there's a parallel. Yeah? So governments not taking the effort of writing out all these small projects that are needed. They just say like, we need major infrastructure. Please build for us the Olympics, or please, build a cross-rail project. Yeah, so it's a very different application, if you want. This was already in the 70s. Yeah, here largely to do with aerospace. We had as well. Aerospace, the Concorde, coming out as a prestige project between a French and British partnership, of course, and then you had as well on the Russian side the equivalent, or Soviet Union side the equivalent. So from that we arrived as well at the principles of managing projects successfully, and this is kind of what is still a very important part. And on that I have another beautiful project. Who recognizes this? I spoke already about it. Yeah, Olympics. Now, quick question. After the Olympics, success or failure? I've asked it repeatedly along the years. It differs every time. Who thinks it was a success? Okay, a few. I like that. Oh. Who thinks it was a failure? Okay, as well, only a few. Okay, we have huge people that are still thinking about it. Yeah, they want to see the facts first. but recently, yeah. Why a failure?
They demolished everything. Almost.
Okay, so they ripped everything down to the ground again, yeah? So the whole point of the legacy that we will talk about is maybe a shifting game, yeah? Okay, very good. The, yeah, then I have more recent one. Who recognizes what that was? Yeah, what was it? Yeah, it was a space dive. And who funded this? What was the purpose of this? This was a project. Yeah?
Red Bull?
Red Bull. Why Red Bull?
Marketing?
Marketing, for what?
Red Bull marketing.
Yeah, okay, so it's an extreme space dive, yeah? Actually, it's kind of parachuting, arguably. But in reality, this was just a marketing stunt from Red Bull, yeah? In reality, we have tried to develop a spacesuit that we can wear when we fly around the, well, it's basically for outer space tourism. Yeah, you will have this spacesuit if you sit in this beautiful, well, spaceship, yeah, that brings you out of the atmosphere. And if it crashes or doesn't work anymore, this is how you're getting back. Yeah? So, yeah, and he tested this for us. Yeah, so this is basically the spacesuit that you will have. Still being adjusted at the moment. It's still too expensive. Yeah, it's a prototype, but it's literally tailored for everyday use. Yeah, so it's a lot more flexible. Our old spacesuits were actually a hard cast, very difficult to use. Yeah, you needed kind of like a robotic degree before you could actually do anything with it. And he basically tested it for them. Yeah, it was a pretty bad test because he's a crash. Well, he's a extreme sport, yeah, how would you call that? Edging person that likes to test his limits, and this is of course a very bad comparison to somebody that just has to dive out of it because their life depends on it. Yeah, but this was the idea behind it. Yeah, and why I point this out is that here they had as well huge financial issues, and they have gone quite flexibly into it. They had a lot of time, not so much time, but they have basically branded the project with other outcomes and could afford actually to run this project. Yeah, so we will have a look into this. This is actually pretty cool, and it meant as well that the client had to be educated. Yeah, they started off by the NASA, and then actually merged. Did you see that somewhere? Well, it was actually written somewhere. Maybe not on this photo, but NASA is a national body, yeah, and they actually stepped back and allowed private industries to come in to actually generate the capital. And there are really good documentations over it, and they have used smart tools for it as well. Yeah. So the main point from this was really understanding as a project manager the power of mediating. Yeah. The dark. We come to that in quite some detail because it's a very hot topic at the moment.
Do you do any risk assessments before they launch this project? That's another issue.
Yeah, they have done that actually, very detailed. Yeah, if you're really interested in this, there's a brilliant YouTube documentation on the risk in detail, and it's called Space Dive. It was done by BBC. So it's actually pretty cool to watch because, by the way, project managers lost their job as well in this. Because another guy was like, I don't want to work with Red Bull together, and I don't want to work with this hot-headed, not that I'm judging, this is what he said, yeah. So hot-headed extreme sportler together, he has no understanding of organization, and yeah. And this was apparently true. And he had as well, Felix has as well a drama in between, yeah. So this is all actually evaluated in the risk. They had a second space diver even who wasn't yet training, so there were other issues with that too. Yeah?
It was about 60,000 foot or something.
This is a good question. I think, wait a minute, where's stratosphere? This must be 34K, right? Is that true? Does anybody know how high where he actually jumped from?
I think you're 34K.
Sorry?
I think you're right.
37 was here as a suggestion as well. It's just our stratosphere like kind of gets flummery around 20,000, and then it's just a turbine design. You know, like if you go to anybody here, they will tell you that there are certain air conditions that make it difficult, where a rocket is actually beneficial. So it must be above that. Yeah. Okay, but something to investigate. Yeah, good question. How high did he actually jump? This is still the world record. Yeah, so this was of course why Red Bull was behind it. They are quite keen on this.
Question.
Yeah, please.
He was supposed to like break 4 records. He broke 3.
Yeah, he was not the fastest.
Yeah. So is that a success or?
This is a good question. Next week we will look in at that in detail. When is it actually success? So, well, you could maybe what would be your answer? For records as a goal, and you achieve 3. What is it?
It depends on the success criteria that you agree on first.
Yeah. Well, he certainly agreed to those, yeah. Maybe a quick voting, please. Do you want to have a 10 minutes break? Or shall we just run on? No, okay, I've already nodded. So who wants to have a 10 minutes break? Okay, in this case, over the break, go deeply into yourself and think about it. He didn't make the speed record. Was he still successful? Yeah? So, and in 10 minutes we come back here. Thank you. Okay, let's get started again. A few people will probably still join us in a second, but that's quite all right. I have tried to group this literature as well a little bit, and that is kind of the topics that we are revisiting throughout the semester, of course. You can see that there are quite practical applications. Yeah, I go briefly through them. Since the 60s and 70s, we have really started to see a professionalism of project management. Yeah, suddenly people are asking for, are you really a project manager? Or, well, maybe without the but they ask, are you qualified? How can you give us confidence that you can manage this project? Yeah? This was a thing really arising end of the 50s, 60s really. And along that came really this notion or removal from the operational research side and system tools that were developed before. Yeah? In parallel, if you actually look at the bottom bubble, organization and people became an important part of that. Yeah? In the past, we hadn't looked so much at how we work good together, but more at how we actually do the project in its individual parts, which was quite a different thing. More recently, we had in the same notion as well big philosophic debates. We have like, we could stereotype it probably as 3 big project typologies. Actually, we come to project typologies where we kind of arrive at 4 to 5. But, well, this is from literature. But there was a notion where project management was seen as an implementation tool, not so much as a design tool. And probably very much on the other side, there was a notion of the project management tool of delivering what the client wants, or what a market segment, what users want. Yeah, and those were very different project settings. And there was a big debate really in the 80s, in the 70s, 80s, and we have just restarted that really with the notion of that we have even now very weird projects. You have probably noticed them. We have to be, what Alex was talking about, we have to be more green. Yeah? Depending, if you're coming from America, then that will make more sense to you than saying actually you have to live more sustainable. Yeah, so we have now projects that are not based on a positive achievement. We have an output that we can measure in a product or service, but we have denial projects, things that we shouldn't do. Yeah, we had that in the past before, but never in that scale, and this has different implications. So along that we have externalities, so this is really the context and environment, so there we are looking at stakeholder management and associated things. Risk I leave really to more or less to Claudio and a little bit to Alex. but we will have a look at the benefits and value, and with it as well the project legacy or the notion of project success beyond the project remit, beyond the organizational remit, but a more wider remit. Yeah? And that is really where the legacy came in. You can see quality and quality management is surprisingly dead. I'm sorry to be the messenger of that, it's dead. The literature kind of ends to be really advancing in the, what is that, zeros? We had there still a few applications. We think now in different terms. We think about usability. Is it getting bought? Is somebody buying it? This is good enough. Yeah, so you see as well a lot of reverse engineering with product design or service service design. Yeah, in EasyJet, yeah, you do actually what before operator at the airport is doing. Yeah? You get your own ticket. You pick where you want to sit. You can pick then your seat if you pay another £5, I think. Yeah, this is an EasyJet specific analysis. But we have actually a lot of services have removed themselves from non-value adding activities, and we still kind of go with it. Yeah? Ryanair has at the moment a little bit issues, but this is very specific to our aerospace, or actually tourism really. And with it came as well notions from assurance and governance, so that they have actually kind of added each other out, and there's a reason why quality sits just under value, yeah, benefits. So we apply a lot of quality assurance tools still, don't get me wrong, yeah, but we are not really advancing there anymore. We are talking now about from cradle to grave, that's one, yeah. Yeah, so we have a look at that as well. Performance management is an interesting one. We have benchmarked that quite a bit in project management, but benchmarking is we just compare how they're doing. In my most recent literature that I'm actually interested in was skills development and associated topics. Performance is really kind of irrelevant. Yeah? It's an outcome. Like as long as the performance kind of assembles in productivity, then it's fine. Otherwise, there's this way a notion actually away from this, which is quite astonishing. Yeah? So project management has moved quite a bit. Well, more recently, with that reason actually of performance management, we were started at more knowledge management and the learning organization. And those are contingencies that were before abandoned. Yeah? We had them already in operational research for quite some time. This is like stuff that if you study general management, you always had that one way or the other, or information management as well with ICT solutions. Nowadays we have actually reinvented it because we have massive issues with it. Within that sits as well some more major projects and education. That should really be a mediation or media studies bubble or something like that. It's how, well, we will talk about it again in 2 weeks. About strategic misrepresentation or how to get the project without being called a liar. Yeah, so this is my interpretation of it, but it's an interesting case study that we are looking at. Yeah, so we come as well back to project success. Yeah, Sydney Opera. Has anybody been there? Sydney Opera? Anybody? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And amazing. Yeah. Amazing. Yeah. What is amazing building? Run over cost and everything, and a lot more heartbreaking. The architect never got a job again. This was his one and only job. So it crushed the career. Pardon?
It took about 17 years to build, didn't it?
Yeah, it took very long, but you would think with like such a capital prestige building that people would run the door in, but it was exactly the contrary. You know? So it's very, very sad actually. What was a Danish architect, and very sad story actually behind it. But we look into this, and largely not his fault. That was probably the more heartbreaking notion, yeah, the personal story behind it, the narrative. But okay, so and this is a big thing now, though, with the media studies as well. Major projects. We will talk about a brilliant law that was implemented with Olympics. Media was not allowed to report any negative facts about the Olympics, which is quite impressive. Yeah? So we have a look at that. How do we do this as project managers, or how can we avoid it in the first place? Yeah, and this will be then pretty much where we are at. Okay, clearly there are some streams. I had a different diagram. I should have really put that in. So the notion here in viewing PM research has gone from quality to optimization notions, definitions of success. not so much what we think. As a project manager, we want a successful project management experience for the whole team, of course. Yeah, but we go as well beyond that. Yeah, so there are different successes with perspectives that change. Then contingency is a very important element. Yeah, so to actually think about how we can achieve this. Process-related management, this is kind of at the core. There we look at different approaches. Here we do the international comparison. This will be good fun. And we still don't believe really in science into, yeah, how do I say that without sounding too bad? The will to do something. Yeah, this, we kind of parked that in Schumpeter. I think he wrote like the will to power. No, yeah. Okay, something like that. Philosophic piece, 17 something, yeah, 1789 if I'm not mistaken. And but we have not actually looked at so much attitude. We do a little bit, but we look instead at the causality of it. Yeah, we look in terms of outcome. Did they behave the right way? Yeah, behavior. And then we have marketing, relational engagement. I hinted already where this is going. Then we have, of course, a huge body of knowledge with decision making and as well decision theorems that we can look at. Then we do a little bit modeling. Yeah, we set our own project management approach together. And last but not least, we look at governance. This is quite fascinating what happens in project management. This is as well an emergent topic, as you can see at the top there, a more recent thing, assurance. There are very few empirical studies on governance. If you're keen on that, we have like really good questions to investigate, but try to get the company first. I can recommend you that. I had very passionate students about governance. They could convince the companies, but it was all confidential. They could hardly use anything. So it's a big topic, but it's difficult to have like sound empirics on it, as we call it. Yeah? So we have indicative studies. You know, we know how people did it in a certain way. So here again, the overview in a way that we are relating to in a way. So most initiatives have been really led here by practitioners, and this will be as well, I think, true for your study. Yeah? So you will have the great pleasure, I hope, of doing your dissertation, of course, in this topic, yeah, and becoming a practitioner potentially. Yeah. So and that with this thing stays, of course, true, but you will have as well the Master of Science notion behind it, which means you have a very strong research dimension to it, which will actually benefit as well the industry and encourage you to stay as well in this dialogue with academia and other practitioners. So, I have one more here. No, I didn't. Maybe. Oh, yeah, this was an important thing. I nearly forgot. My apologies. I thought I have the same slide twice. The important thing to me is as well, I have participated in professional bodies now for quite some time. And professional bodies have their place, certainly in certain countries, where they are actually at representation level in the parliament, for example. And this is the case in the UK. But at the same time, it's very dangerous to see that actually those representing professional bodies have a conversation with the government and kind of construct what's desirable for practitioners, because there's often a very big gap. So what I would encourage you as well to do, look at the professional bodies and see what's actually valuable to you, and then engage in the dialogue and saying like, look, this is actually not anything that helps. That is maybe just additional paperwork, yeah, because we have now a big paper trail, quite frankly, in project management, and not all is really functional. Yeah, a lot is just standardized. And when I go then to the project management office and I ask in Nissan, hey, do you actually use your project management file? No, it's fired. Nobody takes this massive document out. Yeah, this is very bad. So then you have basically missed the point. Yeah, it has to be something functional. Projects are time constrained by definition. Yeah, very often, not always, but very often. So don't like bundle it up with stuff that you don't need. Yeah, and interdisciplinarity, I pointed that out before, so this is important to recognize as well. Be interested in the other disciplines. Often they have to tell a lot. Yeah, okay. Now, well, I have a short video for you here. This is an alternative history, and I have as well, I had last year a guest lecturer, Mary McKinley. I've uploaded you as well the video. It's actually quite long. It's 2 hours, but she talks about her personal experience and where she sees kind of the past of the project managers and where the future potentials lie. Yeah, she is as well director of the International Center for Complexity, another C, project management. No? So I've missed the C, that is pretty bad. But she's quite research active as well, and as well a consultant, and is very smart and has a very reflective view, and brings certainly a new perspective to it. I show you now the commercial adaptation, and I hope it works. No, it doesn't work. Can I open the hyperlink? Okay, a little bit picturesque entertainment along the APM's notion of the history.
Project management is about managing a complex task so that what is wanted is achieved. APM was formed by a group of people in the UK who believed that they could work out how to manage projects better. By the turn of the millennium, no serious project took place without project managers. The technology had come on a very long way. Our profession was fully recognised and appreciated in society. Originating mainly in engineering and construction, it was now achieving results in almost every business and government sector.
Project and programme management has played a massive role in the successful delivery of the 2012 Games.
To my mind, we've recalibrated UK project management, and in doing so, set a new benchmark.
The London 2012 Olympic Games showed that we can deliver the biggest and most complicated projects the world demands, on time and within budget. After only 40 years, our profession has achieved a seriously impressive value to the community, and we are still moving into new areas and handling greater challenges. Who can say where we should be in another 40 years?
Okay, that was a very UK-centric history, if you want. Yeah, but still, nonetheless, it's like a good overview of a few projects, and I suppose I was quite heavily involved with it and a committee member. So in a way, they have like an interesting body of knowledge as well, and as well, if you're interested in it, a pretty decent package for student members. Yeah? But again, it's a question if you want to have that link. Yeah, and in the end, we saw as well where we need our space dive suit. Yeah, when you go into the galaxy plane and travel into the galaxy, that is where you need the space suit afterwards if it goes wrong. Not that it goes wrong, but yeah, if it goes wrong. Okay. Any questions at that point? I think the idea behind this is as well, there's a selection of projects where we have like very good case study material to it. So if your industry's interested in a particular industry, yeah, there's actually a good archive of insight, of tools that they have used and data that they actually came up that they used. And as I pointed out, I want to always use with the case studies kind of opposing industries to show you the diversity. And if you're in this, really interested in a specific industry, we may actually miss occasionally out what specifically is in it. Yeah? So what selection are they using? So for that is actually quite useful. Okay. So where do the global project management standards and guidelines come in? Here, this is actually quite a long story, but I will try to keep it simple and a little bit entertaining, because I was involved in it, as I pointed out earlier. So last year, there were a few professionals and academics that met on Crete in Greece, yeah, and they met there for a few reasons. But namely, this was the 26th International Project Management Association World Congress, a very long name, and they like to shorten it as just World Congress, so it looks very good on my application for funding for traveling there. But last year we really met for many reasons, and one is we had a lot of projects that failed, yeah? and there are many reasons behind it. The blame really went to economic challenging times, as given in the title. But the answer was somehow surprising to me, because standardization works, of course, on an industrial scale where you manufacture, where you repeat mechanisms. But I did think project management is not that standardizable, and we had a long debate around it. But we came up actually with a standard. So integrating project management standards was the idea, and there is now a certain joke to be given with this. This is a joke. How standards proliferate. So situation before, there are 14 competing standards. 14? This is ridiculous. We need to develop one universal standard that covers everyone else's case. Yeah, let's do it. This is a little bit the feeling that many, I think, arrived to that Congress. And then soon after, and this is as well your situation, there are now 15 competing standards. Yeah, so it's a little bit a sad story, but they all come kind of from different backgrounds. Yeah? And I want to highlight you a few. Some are very personal based. Some are aimed at you, the practitioners, to give you an indication where you are in competence levels, yeah, where you have like certain depths of knowledge. Others are actually kind of guides that want to prepare you with terminology and give you actually a direction of how to manage even projects. Yeah? So there are different intents behind it. I highlight here a few. Be aware when you go through the examinations. Yeah, it's another joke. I hope you find that entertaining. Yeah, for a fair selection, everybody has to take the same exam. And this is as well true for the standards, yeah? So you can actually pick the one that suits you most, or maybe the setting that you're based in. Please climb that tree, yeah? And you can see the selection. So clearly there are some issues to be had for some of them. Yeah? And this is as well true for the standards. I talk you through, this is really more something for you to have a starting point. And I want to probably start off with one that have been very kind to me, that are very research engaged. And this is a good thing. Yeah? This means that they are paying money for getting somebody independent to look at what they are doing. Yeah? So this is a good start, actually. This is normally what we do at university. And is it all that brilliant that they do? Well, they are getting there. They are at least honestly considering their mistakes and try to come up with a platform that works as well for different people. So there, for example, industry norms, yeah, and technical papers for different industries that are actually pretty impressive. They do the consideration based on the context. And what I'm referring to is International Project Management Association. They are based in Switzerland, in Zurich. Ironically, they were first founded with a name called Internet. This was in the 70s. So a lot of confusion would be had if they would have kept that name. And they have a competency-based line. This is literally a guide that shows you as a project manager how you have developed over time. Yeah? So if you use it as a skills assessment tool, then this is pretty good. Depending on what country you are in, you get charged. Yeah? So if you're in Sweden, you have Swedish Project Management Association or Institute. Not quite sure. Well, does anybody know what it is? No? It's something with Svenska project. Yeah. Well, and they really engage as well with academia. They're pretty good. But the problem is there's one document, and it's called IPM Competence Baseline version 3. And there's only one European country that has that for free, and it's Austria for some reason. Yeah, but if you want it, it's for free downloadable from the Project Management Association in Austria. It's called PMA, and it's free download, so you can basically go on it and have a look at it if you want. It's quite a thorough document. They have as well the working papers, yeah, so you can see, depending on your industry, what they favor. They yeah, it's all basically on their web page. And this is the international one, so there I don't have a specialized one. In the UK, we have kind of it's still the umbrella, the IPMA, although the IPM doesn't like to hear that often, or they don't really like it. But it's here, the UK one, we have actually our own professional competence framework. Yeah, so it's called the Baseline. And that is as well free for download if you want to have the overview, but then you have to pay for it or become a member. Then you get it with a membership fee. Yeah? And the body of knowledge, I've actually edited the draft, so I've uploaded you the draft version. It's not the final version, so this is what I'm allowed to do. Otherwise, we have it as well in the library, the final piece. Yeah, it hasn't changed a lot, I can tell you that much. But so, and they literally have a guiding document. They recommend you different methods depending on your setting to perform with. And we will have in the lectures always again a critical look at those bodies to compare what they actually can tell us to certain settings. The one that is probably most famous comes Prince 2, yeah, and the aligned methodology comes from the Office of Government of Commerce. Was developed because they had massive issues with they had a project management office, but they didn't really perform as they anticipated. And Prince 2 is actually outlined there, but if you want to understand it, Prince 2 is actually a methodology that you do a training course against. But if you're interested in this, again, Nigel Smith, yeah, in my project engineering project management, that way around, he has actually a super chapter about it, 17, really summarizing the development, where it's coming from, when it's useful. He has even a critical analysis and kind of tools and techniques that they are using, yeah, or what they are subscribing. And it's what does Prince stand for? Projects are. PR is project, sorry, in, and then? Okay, maybe another homework. Basically, you will see it's controlled environment, so not too much homework now. But they have basically contextual indications there, yeah?
And there's Prince 2, so is there any Prince 1 then?
Yeah, this is literally what Nigel describes.
Right.
So Prince wasn't called Prince 1, yeah, but was called Prince. You will see this is very much focused on IT. I hope that, yeah, okay. More questions to this? We will cover a lot of the tools, yeah, so if you're interested, we get often the question, should I do the certification scheme? Well, after this degree you can just go to the test and do it, but It's a question if you even want that, yeah.
The microphone again. The
Oh,
microphone
sorry.
again.
Yeah, I was as well talking that direction. Yeah. Better? Yeah. So, in other words, it's a certificate for a certain training. Yeah. Then this is what we have done. I'm really sorry for it already. Yeah. So don't stick too close to it. From the ISO, we have actually developed and agreed the ISO standard. There's now a new version which comes out this year. No, 2014. So this is, yeah. We agreed the 2012 version literally in Crete. This is what we were doing on the World Congress. Yeah, so this is now out. We have, of course, access as a university to it. You can have a look. It's a competence framework again. Yeah, we have then different projects that you can perform against. And it's a pretty cool framework, especially if you have a controlled environment. You will actually arrive at a happy team. So it's actually quite soft evaluation. We have worked very long on it. And I have to say, successful project evaluated under this framework with the Red Bull jump would be successful. You don't need to hit all the success criteria necessarily, as long as the overall performance and user are actually having their successful output. Yeah? So there are a lot of technicalities in this, and it has costed a lot of people, I think, gray hair or losing hair. And I was slightly as well under those, so it's quite bad. Then we have the Project Management Institute, and oh, I'm lying there. This is pretty bad. The project management, a guide to the project management body of knowledge, is actually not yet published. If you want to have a look, come to me. I have the draft. Yeah, it's supposed to be published this year, but I don't think it will be published this year, quite frankly. Yeah. Then we have a British standard as well. Yeah. This is actually a subsection under guidance to project management. So it's section 2. This is as well about competencies. The standard itself lines as well what counts as a project. So they have their definitions. Yeah. Another actually cool one that I really like is the Project Management Association of Japan and the Engineering Advancement Association of Japan. This is a really cool stuff. And they have as well Project Management Body of Knowledge, and they have actually done it by industry. But it's massive. BB won't with this. It's as well free download. So the Japanese as well, huge friends of sharing. Sharing is caring or something like that. So they have as well done themselves a guide of project and program management for enterprise innovation. And this is as well pretty good stuff. So it's again a good indicator. If you want to hear a little bit about the history of those bodies, then have a look at Morris et al. They were like 5 high-ranking professors that had helped in a lot of the standards and explain a little bit what context they are fitting. Yeah. Are there any questions that we should put forward or no? Okay. Otherwise, I have as well a small tool for the evolution of the project management of competencies. This has been a long walk, and I should really say that this was work that we just partly really helped with. This was done by the VW group, who have like their own coaching project management office, which is pretty cool. They do a lot of good stuff, and or good. They make it very visual. And one is a project roadmap. Yeah, it's project minus roadmap. Either DE or .com, and this is literally the coaching office from VW, and they are kind of pointing out where we came from. Yeah, Raimo Hübner, a German guy. He is. If you want to become a member, just write him an email. Say that you are on this course, and you will get full access. Yeah, I promise you that. And he has really looked at the different tools and techniques. And to show you a little bit, first of all, it starts off by just coming to terms that you are actually doing a project, and the hard facts. It's really the quantifying business, yeah, like measuring and visualizing. But then there's the soft facts, which are normally badly metaphorically described as the iceberg syndrome, yeah, which is of course not that good as a metaphor, but still. So it's a people, yeah. So you see only a little bit of the iceberg on the top, but in reality the hidden is beneath. And then you move on really to the multi-project management, and here it comes to more projects. How do you actually deal with this? Then we have the intercultural and multi-project management. And this is cool stuff. Yeah? I'll show you in a second why it's cool stuff. And then we have even cooperation management. This is more at the moment. Yeah, and then this is where we are not yet really there. I mean, already the intercultural project challenge is kind of like a difficult one. This is where we are maybe now, where we make headway with our tools and techniques. But then we have as well the life-work force balance. Actually, let me close the door quickly. So what is an interesting tool that they have given us? Oh yeah, sorry. The last one is really my favorite. It's a conscious level of balance. I hope you will all arrive there. Yeah? This is very important because it's a notion. I'm not a great fan of this duality of fear and happiness because there's no empiric for it, ironically. But I have another one. So the evolution is actually as well illustrated. I hope this works. So this is literally the project roadmap, and you can use it as an integrative tool, and he describes in a lot of detail in many languages. Oh, and the tool doesn't work. This is quite sad, actually. Let's see if it works. Oh, it does work. This is the German version. Here's the English one. So he has literally mapped it out against the concepts that have been applied to actually make it a conscious effort. Yeah, and so the cultural model is actually quite sophisticated. We have just a brief look at it. Oh yeah, and this is the mediated self at the end. But you can actually measure it and use it as an empirical tool to again measure where you are in terms of those achievements in your organization. Yeah? Where do you actually hit it? Do you do international procurement, or do you build international relationships? Do you do actually a collaboration on international level, or do you just make deals international? Yeah? There's a big difference, and he describes that quite well, and it's a smart tool. It's a quantification tool too. You have to, of course, make certain allowances for it. It's actually quite complicated, the model, but we will try to get our head around it. Yeah? And again, I have said as well in the references, so if you want to have a look at this, it's actually good fun to work around with it. And many of my students that work more on consultancy grounds or coaching or mentor schemes, they really like the small diagrams because they are good pictures to anchor things. I won't use them too much, but on occasions they are very good. But you get basically a whole atlas of those, and this is pretty cool. But it's a thorough read, and BB1, it's slightly biased towards automotive and aerospace. So that is maybe a word of warning on that one. Yeah. I would leave it with that for now. I know it was a lot to take in and quite dry. Not so many case studies, unfortunately. Do we have any questions? Do we have any written questions? No.
What do you suggest we actually read, or do you suggest we go over this again ourselves? Because that's a lot to take in.
Well, literally, I just summarized something. Reading for next week is here. Yeah, so you have that already uploaded. In a way, this was just the introduction, I think, of most project management books. You will see they differ greatly. Yeah? Depending on the language you are reading in, they will differ even more so. Yeah? But the concepts that we're going through now, they will be pretty much always the same. They work as an umbrella. And with the case studies, you will really familiarize as well with the industrial specific tools and techniques. Yeah?
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
The coursework for this one, does it get issued and what?
You have it already. Sorry, yeah. The coursework, we're going through it this week. First, we will, it's group work and a little bit individual work. You will be literally allocated after this lecture in the seminars into groups. Yeah, and in those groups you will have to decide what you want to do. There are many options here, but the coursework is 65% marked on group work and 35% on individual coursework. Yeah.
I got one question. It's about like having seminars. It really doesn't say on the timetable that which one is seminar. So how do we define?
I had that problem before. I'll show you quickly. If you go on the Northumbria webpage, you have actually here, like at the bottom of the webpage, there is a link called timetable. If you click on it, you can kind of put your student number in, and then you get your timetable. I do it quickly for myself. And then you have to pick first semester, and then grid timetable is quite functional. And this literally gives you all the slots that you have. Yeah, so here you can see we have, oh, one of the seminars is gone. This is quite concerning. Pardon?
We cannot actually differentiate.
Yeah, I know, on my Northumbria you can't see the difference. This is why I'm showing this. Here it's actually written, it's in the code, yeah? So there's something written like 1L101, so L is for lecture, and if it's an S, then it's seminar. Yeah? Any other questions? Just for the few that have the Thursday seminar in the morning, this is being redone at the moment. We haven't lost you, yeah? It was the wrong room number, so this gets edited at the moment. This is why there is nothing at the moment. We still have the seminar from 11 to 1, yeah? So don't worry.